Okay, so this video is about David working at Dismas Charities. So go ahead and tell us, how was it when you first started working there?
When I started off, they had a vacancy to fill. Somebody had got an accident, and so the boss asked me if I would be willing to work 19 days straight. And I said yes. So I started with that, and I did consent to it, but it was a lot of hours, and it was nice at first. And I thought I had made allies and friends, and turns out everyone was just ready to stab me in the back.
Okay, tell us about how was it those first few 19 days that you worked there?
I worked with a woman named Regina Acosta. She was very rude and condescending, and she treats the residents like shit. Um, there was a point in time where she dragged a chair through one of the dorms and woke them all up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning and then she even said, "Oh, I could have dragged it louder." And I told her, like, "Why do you have to be so mean?" And she just says, "Oh well." And she didn't even have someone like her working, and they say, "Oh yeah, she's a good worker," but her attitude's shit. And whoever wants to work with her, good luck, because that lady is just a miserable old hag. She's mean.
And did you tell the director or the CEO or anyone about Regina Acosta?
Yep, I told the director and the assistant director.
And what was the consequences for her behavior?
They just brought it up to her. Nothing. They didn't do shit to her.
So she continued to be an employee there,
Yep,
even with her treating the residents horrible.
it's been going on that for years.
And can you tell us about some of the residents? Which resident came to you and told you how they felt or what they thought about the program?
Um, I'm trying to remember the resident's name, but he wasn't there very long. I can't recall his name at the moment, but he was woken up by her. She touched him in the middle of the night and went to bug him for something, and he reported her, and nothing ever happened of it. She always gets away with everything, and such a, such a middle-aged woman with a childish attitude, thinking that, oh well, So when I was angry and her and I were arguing, she goes and starts and like making all these things just to aggravate me more. And so I walked away at one point. We had shouted at each other at one point. Um, there was a lot of residents that didn't like her because of how rude she was, and how she only got along with the people that she wanted to get along with. And it was just, I don't know if it was random or what, or whatever she had stuck up her ass. It's not my concern, but it affected my job and it affected my performance. And there's a point in time when I could not take any more of her bullshit. So I told Jose Rodriguez, the assistant director, that I refused to work with her. And so he said, okay. So then he scheduled me some shifts, and lo and behold, a few nights later, I was working with her half the night. And that's the night that her and I got into a really bad argument, yelled at each other, walked away, cussed each other out. I, at that point in time, I told him, like, I don't want to work with her no matter what. I wrote a couple letters to him. Um, I wrote, everything I could, and I even said, she's out to get me fired. She's out to get my job. She's out, like, she has no such a miserable person, like no concern that I was starting out there and anything like that. And she's secure. She's been there 6 years, so and I was just trying to make some work and make money and make a career out of this. And people like her and Anna Gomez, who is a coworker of mine at my previous employer, Gardaworld, um, she referred me to that place, and and then she had taken a part in getting me terminated as well.
Can you tell us about Anna Gomez? What was her behavior like at Gardaworld?
My manager Arthur Cooper would always say that she was rude, and all my employees would say she's rude to them. All my coworkers, they would say she's rude to them. They would say, she's got such a bad attitude and stuff, and
Did she have any personal issues that you could see by her behavior?
um, yeah, just like I know she had a temper, but the some of the female guards said that they went over to her house and she had a big drinking problem, and that actually became a problem over there at Diersen because uh, one night somebody gave her a Coke and she said, "I'm gonna go buy a bottle of Jack and have me some Jack and Coke." That next morning, she came in 3 hours late, and that was the day that I had to be there at 3 o'clock, and I had to work graveyard, and so I stayed an extra 3 hours, and she came in late, and just the other day, she was bitching about me coming in 15 minutes late.
And at this company, excuse me, at this company that you worked at with Anna Gomez, um, did they ever give her any consequences for showing up late? Did they ever even suspect that she may have had or does have alcohol problems?
No, I don't know if they gave her any consequences, but I was written up for being late, so I'm hoping they wrote her up too, because that would only be fair, but who knows?
So, do you believe that this company does not treat the employees fairly?
Yes, I do believe that. Uh, they had their favorites, and even though I had just started out, um, they didn't even give me a chance to work. I mean,
Okay, tell us about the kitchen staff there. How did they treat you?
the the one of the cooks, Maria, she was real nice, and she used to make burritos for me in the morning and everything. And she's real nice, and she used to come by and everything, and she'd bring me a breakfast burrito. And then there's a time where I went every morning to go get one from her, and there goes Regina Acosta, open her fat mouth again, saying stuff, and I got sick and tired of her telling me this and that. And then the delivery guy that comes to bring drinks at night gives me a free drink, and I went to go get it from him. And then she also told me, "Hey, don't be going to bother him. He gives us free stuff already." And I really dislike someone being such a damn bossy person.
So, tell us about Kathy Depot. What do you know about her?
What I do know is that a couple times I smelled alcohol on her. She drank before she would go to work sometimes because she called me out on it. She's like, "Oh, someone said you said I smell like alcohol." So I drink before I go to work sometimes. I'm like, "Well, that's not good to go to work like that." Um, One of the residents I recently saw at Walmart says she's not working there anymore. So either she got fired or she went to a different employer. Uh, but there's another employee that I also work with at Gardaworld named Michael Lovato.
Okay, tell us about him.
he was told, we were all told, not like, there's no drug test or anything like that. They said, whatever you do it on your own time. But like, you can smoke weed, whatever, all that stuff. He would go out to his car, say, I'm gonna go smoke, and he'd come back smelling like weed. And then he would go to the restroom like several times, and I know he was going in there to vape his I don't know if it was a regular vape or a marijuana vape, but he'd go in there several times. Like, no one needs a restroom every 15 minutes.
Can you tell us about the DoorDash thing with the clients and Anna Gomez? How did she handle um, when clients would order DoorDash?
Clients order DoorDash. She'd tell the clients to come get their DoorDash. But during Thanksgiving, we were told that none of the residents were allowed for to have their family bring them any plates. So she went and told one of the residents to get their sister or mother to put something in a bag and then come and say that it's a DoorDash order and come bring it to them. And that was not a good idea because it was still frowned upon. And another one is there was a girl that used to work there, at least was a resident there, and she would walk home at night. And she asked them there if they would be willing to let her get a taser so she could have that, for protection. And they told her no, and that she could leave it, she could leave it, take it with her, and then leave it with them when she gets to the halfway house. This girl was told no, and Anna Gomez told her, you know what, you should get one anyway, and then hide it in the bushes out there, so that way, and you can charge it at work, or that way you don't have no, they won't ever find out.
Okay, so tell us about Anna Gomez. Would you say that she is someone that is highly recommended to work at a halfway house or as a counselor or anything when it comes to people that have a criminal history or people that are trying to better their lives? Would you recommend her?
No,
Tell us why.
she is rude. She talks down to people. She gets this really bitchy attitude when things aren't going her way. Um, it it seems to be the point in time, like, she has this, all of a sudden it's just blatant, like, honesty that comes out, and it comes out so damn rude. Like, a couple times I was struggling with stuff, and she's like, do you even like this job? And like, some of the rude things that she would tell me, and I would tell her, what do you mean by that? And then she, oh, I'm not going to get into it. But someone already opened their mouth and then they don't want to finish what they're saying, then, you know, there was a lot of rumors, a lot of stuff going on there at that place. So,
Tell us more about Michael Lovato. I would like to hear about him.
um, he worked at Gardaworld with Anna and I. He didn't even give them a 2 week notice. He just stopped working and came over to there, and came over to Diersen, and he um, supposedly has seizures and stuff. And so there was one night he had a seizure, not at the work, but I guess before he had to come in or something, and he called the manager and told him that he couldn't come in, he's in the hospital. And he claims the manager told him, well, I can't, and come in. And then he was also rude. I mean, he would go and he'd tell people, oh, well, nothing gets done. And he had a knack for going and telling on people for every little thing. And acting like he's your friend, and when he's really all along plotting to stab you in the back.
So would you say he had a hidden agenda when it came to um, socializing with people or
Yeah,
employees?
he kept to himself a lot. And there's a lot of times that I tried making conversation with him, or I tried asking him a question, and there's no fucking answer. And I would get angry because, like, I know he's not fucking deaf. And, he just wouldn't even want to answer the question. And so I was like, all right, well. I mean, there's one point in time when we were doing medication audit, and I said, can I help you with this one here? And he didn't say anything, so I went and did something else because I offered to help him, and he just stayed quiet and did his own thing. And so,
Tell us about Ana Gomez and the times that she uh, took pictures of you to sabotage your job at Gardaworld and then most recently at Dismas Charities
so
or Diersen
she,
Charities.
yes, she took pictures of me. Um, I wasn't sleeping on the job at Gardaworld. I was waiting to go to work. But she had pictures there and tried convincing my boss that they were pictures of me while on shift, and that was incorrect. And then at Diersen, I struggled with graveyard shift. And there's a few times I had fallen asleep, and then they switched me over to swing. And she took pictures of me. So did Regina Costa. So did Kathy Dapo. And I believe so did um, Michael Lovato.
And do you recall if there was ever some kind of clause or anything stating that employees could not take pictures of other employees and cannot issue a false statement about another employee?
I'm not sure, but I don't think taking a picture of someone is an ethical thing. Regardless of, I mean, it's different if they're like doing something illegal or something, but taking someone's picture without their consent, it's like it's being a perv, it's being sick.
So would you say that's a violation of confidentiality
It's a
or
violation of confidentiality. It's a violation of privacy. Um, because I'm filing for unemployment, and the unemployment is telling me, well, we have pictures here that they turned in for exhibits of you sleeping, and
okay?
statements here.
Okay, so tell us about your you have blood cancer, right?
Yes,
And you had a port in your chest. And
yes.
what
So,
happened with that when it came to
okay,
Jose Rodriguez?
so I had it removed, and I told my boss, Jose Rodriguez, I said I will be there a little late, but I'll be there. And so I was cut open. I had stitches, and I had restrictions. And I went and I worked when I could have just called in and said, "Hey, I need the day off." But I was working hard to make a good impression, and make sure I didn't ask for any days off or take any days off or anything like that. And I got really badly bruised on my chest from overexertion, and I was also told that I was on restrictions for like sweeping and mopping or lifting anything heavy, and that was for several days. And I believe that Regina Costa and Michael Lovato and Kathy Debo and Anna Gomez all said something about me not sweeping or mopping when I was on restriction and I could not do that.
So you were on medical restriction because of the surgery that you had had
Yeah,
that you notified your
yeah,
boss about.
as a day procedure surgery, I got cut open on my chest, and I notified him about that, and I said I'll be there late, and they took me early, so I actually got there early, and I wasn't hurting in the beginning because they shut me in with lidocaine, but towards the end of the night, I was in pain and I had nothing. They didn't give me anything, so I I was hurting on my chest. Any kind of movement hurt. Um, it came to a point in time where I was like, you know, happy to go home, and I was sore, I was hurt, and I was getting regretting going into work. I said I should have just took the night off.
Okay, so tell us about the meetings that you had when they would call you into those meetings, and what happened in those meetings? How did they treat you there when you had meetings? When you had employee meetings?
The employee meetings were just discussing uh, certain things that have come up, like for example about medication audits and mistakes on medications and stuff, and all this stuff is not easiest thing to do. I messed up a few times, and they're trying to like explain things to people, and um, so a couple meetings in a row they talked about legibility of writing, um, being careful with mistakes and things like that. But some of these meetings, I was exhausted. I had just got off of my overnight shift, and I was expected to be back there at 10 a.m. So there was a lot of point in time where I'm like, I'm not gonna walk home and then I have to walk back, and I'm gonna come home and oversleep. So I would stay sitting there in the break room and waiting until 10 o'clock to have this meeting, and then I'd be literally falling asleep during this meeting. And I struggled because graveyard is something I struggle with because I have bipolar disorder. I take medications. And so, in order for me to do graveyard, I took my night medications in the morning, which was my night to go to bed, and my morning medications at night, which was my morning. And that got my sleep patterns out of whack. And I've been off the job now for like a month, and I'm still struggling. I have insomnia, and then I get tired, and so my circadian rhythm's all off from this graveyard shifts, and it reminds me of why I really can't do graveyard shift with. Um, I have obstructive sleep apnea, and I have quite a sleep deficit, so I struggle to stay awake even sometimes during the day. So I would get up and walk or things like that. At night, it was different. Another thing is they would leave the light off um, in the front office, and I don't know why they did that because that's like too relaxing of an environment. So I would like the light turned on so I can be alert and awake and everything. And they had the mood set, and then they have music in the background. And it's like slow music, and like, this is not work music.
So what you're saying is they would purposely try to set the mood for you to fall asleep while you're at work.
Well, they said it. Yeah, they said it into not necessarily purposely, but they said it uh, an environment that was a little too comfortable, and so there's a lot of times where um, you'd be sitting there doing paperwork and stuff, and I struggle with my sleep apnea because it's really hard for me. And they gave me a hard time a lot of the times that I dozed off or whatnot, and I did my best to correct myself. And
So one more question. Um, in regards to Kathy Depot, Anna Gomez, Michael Lovato, and Regina Acosta, do you believe that they ever had any times where they fell asleep or where they, did something they shouldn't have been doing at the place
yes,
place of
because
employment?
yes, because Kathy Depot at one point